Hi, and welcome to episode 6. This is the Alice Chen podcast. We are talking about raccoons,
Yes.
2011. But
Correct.
before we get into raccoons,
Oh, yes.
let's talk about data.
Yes.
Because we just came off a pretty heavy two or 3 years of the housing market. How did 2011 look for
I'm
you?
going to read it off to you if that's okay.
That is great.
So there was a decrease from the prior year of homes sold, a 5% decrease, okay? And the average fixed mortgage rate was 4.69.
That's
Can you believe
high.
that? Yeah.
Just kidding. We're at about 6.875 today, just so you know.
Yep. And even though that was a record at the time, right, home sales kept declining through all the way to 2012. And then the market weakened continuously. Prices decreased to 2003 levels. So just to give the audience kind of a marker point, right, they were 33% lower than the peak in 2006.
Wow.
So prices dropped by a third.
Oh, gosh.
And then the last stat, 22% of all residential properties with a mortgage were underwater at the end of the third quarter of 2011. 22%.
Oh, my gosh. So perfect time to buy a house.
Perfect time.
Did you
yeah.
buy a house?
I did.
Whoa.
I bought my primary residence, which I still live in.
Oh, my gosh.
Because I knew all the things, Bill.
You
Come on.
you had the crystal ball. Like everybody asked Alice. Like,
Yes.
what
I did not.
is it perfect time to buy? And you said yes, of course it is.
Of course for myself. No.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea, honestly. I was pretty clueless, believe it or not, even though I'd been in the business about 6 years. I just knew that I wanted to buy a single family home. I wanted to upgrade, okay? And we were living in Aurora with Naperville 204 schools at the time in a townhome, and I knew I wanted to move to like the northeast side specifically of Naperville.
Okay.
So, and then I knew that my search probably would take a while because I'm pretty picky. And I had very specific search criteria. And my husband at the time said, we better start looking because it's going to probably take 10 years to look.
Wow.
But we were lucky. We were very, very lucky. I think I ended up only showing him and myself 4 homes. Because it was very specific. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 4 homes. So what drew you to the north side of Naperville? Just curious.
Yeah. So I grew up, that's kind of the side of the town that I grew up in. And I don't know how much you know about kind of town rivalry, but I knew that I could not live in Naperville's central territory.
Uh-oh.
I went to Naperville North. Yes.
Okay.
So Huskies and Red Hawks have really had a healthy competition for a long time.
I didn't realize that because I came from Michigan, but I lived in Naperville for 20 years, right? In that Naperville Heights area. That's where I lived.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I was always driving past the Huskies, but we actually, when I got into triathlons, we would go down to the Central and on the track there.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Kind of taste of both worlds, but I didn't know the rivalry.
Oh, yes. There's always the Crosstown Classic, the football games every fall. And it was very, I was in athletics. I was in volleyball in high school, and it was always a huge competition. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to mention, too, is that, Warren Buffett always talks about when people are fearful, that's a good time to invest and buy.
Yes.
And when people are greedy, that's a good time to kind of hold. Right?
Yeah.
So you decided to invest
I did.
into a market that most people would have been fearful of just because of the decline.
Oh, yes.
So what would you say to buyers today?
I would say to buyers today to not be fearful, even though rates are higher. Historically, they're still pretty low, believe it or not.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I would say that they should, find the right place for them, instead of focusing so much about the things that they cannot control, like the rate.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I hear a lot, too, is that buyers today think that scary 2008 to 2011 decline
is going to happen
again.
Yeah,
so what would you say to those people?
I would say it's highly unlikely. Again, nobody knows for sure whether it's going to happen again or not, but highly unlikely because the ingredients for that recipe don't exist, meaning lenders, are not just giving out loans like cookies.
The bad guys.
Yes. There's actual guidelines now, and rules and a lot more regulations and also inventory is still super low, which back then inventory was not as low as it is now, So the dynamics are just very different. And it's a different time.
Yeah. I kind of, to echo that, I always talk about the lending was just like the Wild West. I mean, I would have lenders wholesale because I was in the broker world at that time, and we have wholesalers come in and they were giving us products like Nina's. You know, Nina's, no income, no asset.
Yes.
Or the famous one that everybody talked about was stated income.
Yes.
So let's say you're a janitor and you wanted to buy a $500,000 house. Oh, you make $200,000. Let's just put it on paper.
Write it down.
Yeah. Even though you're putting nothing down, right?
No, exactly.
So the beauty of those products were they were 2-year ARMs.
Yes, there were a lot of ARMs back then.
Yeah, so that's where ARMs got a bad rap because of the fact there were 2 years. 2 years, we all know go super fast, right? Yeah. If you have somebody with bad credit, then they're not going to get out of that hole if they're bad credit and they're using those products.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of people got stuck. But the other thing that got collapsed or crushed were the new builds.
Yes,
so we're seeing that the builders are still trying to kind of come back from that.
They are, yeah. They're still making their way.
Yeah.
But I think they've fared fairly well because of the low inventory. So then a lot of the buyers then go look at the new construction because there isn't as much available existing.
Do you do a lot of new construction? Do you work with a lot of builders?
I do actually. Okay. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it was one of those years where we started kind of seeing that there was some settling down of the market a little bit.
There was, yeah. Prices were definitely suppressed, and homes were staying on the market for quite a while. And it was very different from today. Yeah. Very different.
Let's talk about the raccoon.
Oh, yes. Let's back to the raccoon. So it was a listing, going back to relocation, it was a relocation listing.
Okay.
And the homeowners had vacated. So it was what we call an inventory home, meaning the relocation company bought the home from the homeowners. And it was in Stonebridge again. I mean, that subdivision, man,
a lot of reload.
Gave me a lot of lessons back then.
Yeah, right.
So again, it was during the time where I had a team, but it wasn't really a team, if you remember from last episode. So I was still doing a lot of stuff on my own, especially on the weekends. So it was a weekend, and I was doing what we call a vacant check. So the home is vacant. And I thought, okay, I have some time. I'm going to go check on this property to make sure that everything's A-okay. And from the last showing, the lights are off, doors are shut, no windows have been left open, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So I go in, and again, it's vacant, right? I go into the home, everything seems okay and cool, all right? And I'm on the first floor, everything's still fine. I go up to the second floor, and I hear some noise, like rustling. And I'm like, hello? Is somebody here? And I'm by myself again. I don't have any bodyguards with me, nothing, okay? And I'm like, hello, is somebody here? I'm Alice, the listing agent. I'm very nervous at this point. Nothing, okay? So then I am going through the bedrooms, checking the bedrooms, and then I go into the primary bedroom area. And that's where I start hearing more rustling noises, okay? Scurrying, like an animal, right? And I'm like, oh no, right?
Yeah.
And so I go in there and I peek my head because I at this point I'm like, I don't know what's in this house, right? And I peek my head in there, and I don't even go into the bedroom. So the bedroom, from the door of the bedroom, you can see the bathroom, okay? And there's a raccoon in the bathroom, okay? And it was probably, 20 feet away from me, less than 20 feet, okay?
Yeah.
And he or she locks eyes with me.
Oh, no.
I couldn't even muster a scream, okay? I ran out of that house faster than you can say out, okay?
Yeah.
Ran out of the house, shut the front door, locked it, okay? And I think I panicked for half a second.
Yeah.
And then I was like, what should I do? Yeah. And so first thing I do is not call animal control. I call my husband.
Oh, your husband. Love it.
Yes, I know. So I'm panicking at this point. And so I call him and I said, I don't know what to do. What should I do? There's a raccoon in this house, right? And he's like, call animal control.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So I was like, oh, okay. All right. I was like, can you meet me out here though? And he's like, yes, but call animal control.
Oh my gosh.
So I call animal control. he comes out. And the house is in a cul-de-sac. So I'm standing like an idiot, like in the middle of the cul-de-sac, like freaking out, right? Waiting for him. Animal control arrives. And I described to the person, like, what's going on.
Yeah.
And it was wild. Like, he put on this whole, like, garb, right? Like, the whole gloves, like,
it's
everything.
like a show. It's a show, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
And so I was like, and he was just like, okay, I'm going in, you know? And I was like, okay, be careful. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm in so much trouble. Like, I mean, not that I let the animal in, but I was like, relocation is going to freak out. Like, there's so much damage in this house, probably.
I'm going to go in arbitration because of a raccoon.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, what am I going to do? You know, how am I going to fix this, right? Yeah. So the guy goes in, and it was something like out of a TV show, like a sitcom, okay? He goes in, and he's probably in there for like 20 minutes, I want to say.
Did you hear anything? Like, was there any like rumbling or?
Not like huge, not from what I could hear.
Yeah,
I was very outside. I was outside in the cul-de-sac.
Across the street, okay.
And so the next thing I know, he has like a metal like cage thing, right? So the next thing I know, he walks out with his metal cage and the raccoon's in there, and I'm just like, OMG, right? So he comes out.
The raccoon's flipping you off. What did you do? Come on. Yeah.
He sticks the raccoon in the trunk, and he, kind of ungarbs himself. And he was like, you were really lucky, lady. And I was like, yeah, I'd say so. And he was just like, and by the looks of it, I think you, again, got really lucky. Like, there didn't look like he must have just gotten in, like, literally.
Good.
Because there didn't seem to be that much damage. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it gets pretty toxic when they start letting things go.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it gets that's where things go from bad to worse.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So then, and I couldn't even figure out, like, how he got in. It was the weird thing. Like, it was so bizarre. Yeah.
I've had a few run-ins with raccoons.
They're not
fun at all.
No. So that's my raccoon story. Yeah.
Well, I got a raccoon. I got a couple of raccoons.
Oh, you do?
I'll just make it really, really brief since we're on the raccoon subject. But I had one that I was sitting in Naperville Heights. Actually, I own the next door house too. And so my tenant and I were sitting out. Next thing you know, we hear this boom. Well, the raccoon was up on the power line and got electrocuted.
Oh no!
Flew off and like landed. Like, I thought it was dead. It was out down from the pole. It landed like
just on the ground. Okay.
It landed. Yeah, it blew up. It like blew up.
Was it dead?
No.
Oh.
It was. I thought it was dead.
Okay.
But then, of course, I called your husband, and he said call animal control. I did.
Okay.
And the next day, the thing was gone. It was like Lazarus. It woke back up from the dead, and literally, it was underneath my porch.
No,
and I
stop.
saw it in the basement window, and it had like a burnt nose.
No, it did not.
Yeah, not kidding.
Oh my gosh.
So the animal control person came out, but they had like the little rope thing. It wasn't like the walking robot.
No.
Saw,
Okay. They must have different outfits for different things.
Well, yeah, maybe it was a little hotter, so she didn't want to get in the garb, But then the other one I had tenants. So, do you have investment properties, by the way? I was going to ask you.
I don't anymore. I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's about the time I was like, okay, I'm not a landlord, but I had a house in Elmhurst. I call it my money pit. And the tenants call me and go, Bill, I think I hear something in the walls.
Oh no.
And I didn't call animal control that time, but I called somebody else, a pest person.
Okay. Similar.
He goes up there and bills me for not just a raccoon, but a possum and like 2 skunks.
What?
They had like
they were all living together?
Yeah, they were all living together. Like, it was like a
roommates?
multi-unit zoo. So that's what happened.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there you go.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. But that was my raccoon.
I'm
stories.
glad they were found, so that
they were
the
found.
Population, the town didn't, keep growing.
But they like to hang out together. I didn't realize that.
Apparently. Okay.
So yeah. Okay. So back to 2011.
Yes, back to 2011.
Yeah. Sorry, we got off on the raccoon.
Yes.
Story, but that was a very interesting story.
Yeah. So 2011, I kept building my team. The same. It was the same team, and then. I worked with a different set of clients, of course, and one fun fact that I realized after reviewing my client list from that time is actually 3 of them ultimately went on and got licensed and became real estate brokers themselves. Yeah.
Now, why'd they do that?
I have no idea. I'm thinking maybe I made it look like it was too easy, or they thought I made it look super fun.
Yeah.
So
Good. I mean, one of the things I think about when I hear that, though, it's like almost like I kind of would take a little bit of it like a backhanded compliment. Like,
yeah.
wait a minute, you think you can do this better than I did?
Yeah,
Seriously, this is not that easy.
Easy, yeah.
Right. So, are they still in the business?
As far as I know, one of them is not. So it was like a
two
short
out of two out of three.
I think the other one was a seller and he moved out of state. And I do believe he is technically still licensed. But I'm not 100% sure. And then the other one, the last one, is a very interesting story. She is still licensed and she's still in my market. And I've had, unfortunately, a couple of run-ins with her.
Run-ins?
Yes.
Like good run-ins or not good run-ins?
I would say no.
Really?
Not great. Yeah, not great. Yeah.
Can you what when you talk about run-ins, what does that look like in the real estate world?
So I'm trying to think like the most recent one. It was about feedback, surprisingly enough. Realtors get really testy about feedback.
Really?
From showings. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, and it wasn't even me. It was about, it was between her and an agent on my team. So an agent on my team had showed a listing of hers. And I guess in the feedback form, so I don't know if you know of showing time or like feedback forms that are automated after showings.
Oh, no, I didn't know.
So we get sent a lot of times showing time feedback forms, and you have to fill out like what you thought. And most of the time it's like a drop down menu and multiple choice, and you just choose one, right?
Got it.
It's not like a fill in the blank essay. Okay.
So it's like a little mini survey? Is that what
Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Like what did you think? What did the buyers think?
Got
Et
it.
cetera. Okay. So then the agent on my team, she filled it out. But there was no space. There was a space. Okay. There was a space to put down notes, additional comments, but there was a question above that space. And the question was, does this house fit your buyer's search criteria? Something like that. It was a yes or no question. It wasn't like a, please explain, blah, 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 right?
Right.
And so then she just said, no, it doesn't. But she didn't elaborate. Okay. So then the rest of the questions were just multiple choice. So she just picked one.
Sure.
So then this agent, the listing agent, who used to be a past client of mine, got really upset and yelled at her effectively via text and said, this is not acceptable. I got you in early. I did a favor for you. And then proceeded to basically tattle on her with me. And say, I feel like you should know that one of your agents is doing this, as if I wouldn't know. I know everything that goes on with my team pretty much.
Right.
And just really got bent out of shape about it, really. And this day, it wasn't that long ago, probably a month ago, like blew up my phone, like just constantly, like just sent me texts, snapshots of like the agent on my team's response to her, back and forth. Like it was a whole thing. Yeah.
Wow.
And so finally, I didn't have time to respond to her in the moment. So I think it took me like an hour or two to once I was done with my appointments and I could sit down and write out my response. And I did. And I basically said that, thank you for letting me know, but I am aware of everything that goes on with my team. And with the way that your survey is structured, it didn't lend to a buyer agent, filling it out the way that you would want to. So you might want to consider changing it going forward. And then I said, I understand your frustration with my teammate, but I don't think she really did anything wrong, And then I said, please don't threaten us, because I took her comment as a threat that I'm not going to get you in anymore, future listings, right?
Yeah.
Or do you favors, quote unquote.
Right.
And I said, please don't threaten us. That's not really a good way to do business, but
it's a small world.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize that our industry it may seem big, but it's
really
small. Yeah. It's hyper local when it comes down to it.
And then furthermore, it's actually a violation of license law.
Yeah.
Because you can't, license law basically states that you can't play favorites as to who you're going to provide access to your listings,
right.
Over others. Mm-hmm. And she was basically, she put in writing that that's what she was going to do. Yeah.
Ouch.
So I called her out on it in a diplomatic way. But yeah, so that's just an example of a recent situation that we had. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you seeing more people that like, because you mentioned 3 in the 2011.
Yeah.
Are you seeing more people that wanting to get in real estate after doing a transaction with you?
Yes.
Because you make it so smooth?
Yeah. Yes. Actually, right now there are 2 past clients that have reached out to me wanting to become agents. And it's kind of like an ongoing, I don't want to say joke because that makes light of it, but it's kind of like an ongoing theme, I would say.
Sure.
That the current team and I, we talk about and discuss a lot. Like, Alice, what is going on? Like, do you offer them something, or like, why do they think that, they could just do this, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I honestly don't know,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Interesting. So 2011, we were going back there to talk about the data. So let's talk about volume, because we didn't mention that on the last one either.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Well, how was 2010, and then how did 2011 pan out for you as a business?
So I was growing each year, actually, incrementally since I started, which is great. 2010 and 2011 were, I would say, 2 of my better years and best years as I was like growing my business and growing my team. And I would say, just off the top of my head, I don't like really remember exact numbers, but I want to say 10 and 11, I was probably producing somewhere in the teens, like 15, 16, 17 million.
Yeah, that's good.
Would be my best
in a very difficult market.
In a very difficult market.
Which is in some capacity is similar to today's market. So did you see a lot of competitors leave the industry as well?
I did. Yeah. It was a very tough market because, like I said in previous episodes, a lot of short sales, a lot of relocation, a lot of just very nuanced transactions that took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, honestly, and a lot of agents just didn't want to do it, or they just wanted to get out. Yeah.
I'm kind of seeing that similar to this year. And I'm seeing a heavy weight on agents and loan officers. I mean, to the point where people are just feeling like beat up.
Oh, yeah.
And I could see that was back in 2008 to 2011 as well.
For sure.
We had a lot of people that were, when we were talking about those Ninas, like the Ninas and the stated loans.
Yes.
Where did those people go? Like they had to go into something else.
Yeah.
So they either tried our approach, which was more vanilla type of loans, or they got into loan modifications.
That's true.
So if you remember, loan modifications were simply if somebody had something wrong with they were going to go into foreclosure, they would try to do a loan modification or reduce the payment, and that's what lenders would do.
Okay.
So those people got into that, and they made a big hefty buck on that
from that
for a short period of time until that dried up as well.
So it was like a pivot essentially, right?
Yeah. And I think the thing that I would say for you is that you saw yourself, my personal opinion would be you saw yourself growing in a market where a lot of people were failing. Yeah. Which is a good feeling as well. Like you're like, I'm actually doing something right.
I'm going in the other direction. Yeah. And then I do remember like going back to those days, once you hit a certain production, right, there was not only awards at the end of the year, which are great and all, but I was a huge fan of like the office upgrade, the office situation that I would be put in, as a result of my production. So when you first started, and we never talked about this. So when you first started, you not only had a desk, so you didn't have an office. Forget about an office, forget about a cubicle. You just had a desk.
Just a desk. Just a place to put your computer,
your stuff,
right?
maybe. Yeah. But not only was it a desk, it was a shared desk, Bill. Oh, yes. Because you had to prove yourself. So it was like 3 people to a desk, believe it or not. Yeah. So then that's how you first started. Then when you worked up, I think it was like 3 million in production maybe for a calendar year. Then you got your own desk, you see. Okay.
Wow.
Then after that, I know.
So wait, was it going back to the sharing, right?
Yeah.
So you're in sales, you're on the phone, and there's no... Like you're hearing each other talk, or did you have to go outside? Or?
So it was like what do they call it? A bullpen, right? So it was all these desks in the bullpen, and I was lucky because I got assigned to a desk where the other 2 people hardly ever showed up. So that's another theme in real estate. Like most people don't come into the office. They don't show up every day, you know. I had to. So I was there every day. And it was the first come, first serve. So if I was there first thing in the morning, that was my desk for the day.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I got my own desk.
Yeah.
You know, once I hit that metric. And then after that metric was hit, then you got you're supposed to get a cubicle or a shared cubicle. Okay. But I skipped over that. I was so proud of myself. I skipped over that whole cubicle.
You just skipped over.
I just skipped over the cubicle. And then I went to a shared private office, which was like, I mean, that day was like the holy Mecca for me.
Really?
Because I was like, I never thought I would achieve that. Yeah.
Did they do like, I mean, when they're doing this, my curiosity is always like, what does that look like? Do they hand you the key or like, was there like an award ceremony?
No.
Like,
they call you into the, it's very private. It's very secretive. Yeah.
Oh,
so they call you
like,
into the private, you know, the managing broker's office and they say, okay, you know, this last year you've achieved X, Y, and Z, or the last however many months, 6 months, 9 months, whatever the metric is. And now you know, we've had a vacate. Somebody has vacated, or somebody left or something. You know, people move around.
Yeah.
And so then there is this spot available. Would you like it?
Okay, well, hold up. So now you really got me intrigued here. So they vacated, but
Yeah.
like, what if they're not producing? So then would you kick them out? And then
Sometimes, yeah.
Really?
Sometimes it was somebody was asked to like step down, you
And
know,
that's a
from
little
like
awkward.
a private office
So
to a cubicle or cubicle. Yeah, that's
they
not
show
great.
up and they see you sitting in their seat. And you're
It's
like,
not great. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
It's not great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this person that I shared an office was the private office. Actually, luckily, I don't know why, but she had her own private office for a while. So again, it was very awkward because again, it was a downgrade for her because she was going from a private office to sharing with Alice. Like, I don't know.
Okay.
So yes. So I moved in and I remember that day and I remember thinking, this is good, right? Like this is,
you were happy. She was sad.
She was not great. Yeah.
Oh,
not in a good mood. Yeah. But we acclimated to each other. You know, I tried as best as I could to be a good roommate, you know. And then eventually once I produced enough, then you got your own private office, right?
So you just vacate her out and then, or is it just a different office?
I think it was a different office, actually.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I did not, don't worry. I did not kick her out. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
It was a different office.
You're nicer than that. Come on.
No, I would not do that. And then I think the private, semi-private where you shared, I think the production was like anywhere from 6 million to like 9 million a year. And then private office was, I think, at least 10 to 12 million a year.
So those were motivators for you.
Huge motivators.
Okay.
Yeah. Whereas
you wouldn't think that, like, but that's a motivation.
To me, it was like I don't know why, but I thought at that age and at that time in my career, it was like a symbol of success, right? Like, wow, you know, those agents have their own private office. They've earned that. It was based on production, right? And I used to remember seeing the agents, you know, when I first started and I was 3 to a desk, I remember looking at the agents who had the huge private offices to themselves and thinking, oh my gosh, they've made it. They are there. Yeah.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
That was my goal. Yeah.
All right. And you made it.
I did. Yep.
And this is year 7.
This is year 6. Yeah.
Year 6, you made it to private office.
I was in a private office. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With a team.
With the team.
So did your team join you in the private office?
They did. Yeah.
Okay. So you were leading the way and then with shared desk, everything, you said, we're going to get this office
We're just going to get this office space. Yeah.
Nice.
So it wasn't, I don't want to paint a picture. It wasn't like a huge office space. So
well,
the private
it's still an office.
I know, but the private office was probably like 8 by 10.
Did they put your name on the door?
No. So we had the old school like bank name plaques.
Oh,
you know, like
gotcha.
the gold.
Yeah.
And then, so then I put it like on the little
Just
ledge.
put it there. Just
on the ledge. Yeah.
I'm thinking Office, the actual Office show where he's just looking at his name. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then what? Like in 2011, you got the office space.
Yeah.
Team is flourishing.
Yeah, it was pretty much just grinding it out for a while, honestly. Yeah, it was just going day to day, making my calls. I don't want to say it was boring, but kind of. It was boring for a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. So just kind of cruise control for a little bit, right?
Yeah. And then, like I said, I bought my first house that I'm still living in now. And then that was pretty much it.
You had the raccoon experience.
Yeah.
You learned that animal control is the first responder there.
The first responder there. Yep. And then I still continue to do relocations. I would say, so last year, the prior year was the year that I had the arbitration, right? And then I would say in looking at the client list from those 2 years, there were definitely a few transactions that stood out and that were at the time, now looking back, it's like, oh, they weren't that tough, Alice, right? Talking to myself. But at the time when I was in it, it seemed like very, very tough. And it seemed like the end of the world, honestly. So 2011, there was a transaction during that time. I was working with a transferee seller, listing. They were moving out of state. I think they worked for PepsiCo at the time. And again, like I didn't know them. So they were not like friends of mine or acquaintances or from my network or sphere. And I don't remember a lot of details about why it was so difficult or why they were so difficult from my perspective. But I just remember the emotions, right? And me being super stressed out and basically getting blamed for everything that happened in that transaction. I
have one of those right now.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
They actually gave me a call at 5:56 this morning.
No.
Yeah, they did. Just saying.
So that kind of makes me feel better. But if you kind of paint the picture of being I was 6 years in the business, right? So it wasn't like I was that seasoned, I wasn't brand new,
sure.
And getting blamed for everything and then just not professional, like not in a professional way, right? So like every call with them, like every phone call that I would see them, my stomach would be in knots, like that type of client,
Yeah.
And then every conversation was always antagonistic and yelling and screaming and
just unhappy people.
Just not happy people.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was very glad to have that done and over with. But I do remember one of the things that I learned during that time was how important and how lucky I was to have the attorney on the file.
Okay.
Because the attorney, yes, they're representing the seller and the client, but they're also a good sounding board. They're a good person. Even though I'm not technically their client, we're on the same side. Mm-hmm. So that I could tell them things or I could share with them things or vent. And I knew that it wasn't going to go anywhere.
That's good, yeah.
And so she's no longer in the business by choice, but Melanie is her name. She's a very, very good attorney, and she was a great, great colleague and a friend, honestly, still a friend.
Yeah.
And I just remember calling her all the time, like in tears. And just like, these are terrible people. These are, this is what just happened in the conversation. And she was great. I mean, she would just kind of talk me down and just kind of level me out and that sort of thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I can't stress it enough. I have that happen with realtors today that we have conversations that are offline and it's not going to go anywhere, but you need to know that you're not alone out there. And sometimes you feel isolated, especially when you have a client that's constantly, no offense to you clients, but sometimes there's good and there's bad.
There is, yes. Yeah.
And I'll praise the ones that are really, really good. Like I have one that's just right now, I'm like, I wish I could clone
100%.
you. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. There's good ones and bad ones. And I'm a firm believer now, it all evens out, right?
It sure
there's
does,
really tough deals, and then there's like super easy ones that you're like, that was nothing,
Right.
And then there's ones in between, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer that it just all evens out at the end.
Yeah.
And then during that time, I did not talk about this yet, but during that time, I would say I started building a lot of the foundations I firmly believe to my success. So I sat down every single year with my managing broker and I typed up like probably 3 pages of a business plan. What I accomplished that year, what I was going to do the next year, how I arrived at those numbers, what activities I was going to do to get there. And I really got fine-tuned into, what my numbers are, what my ratios are, what my conversion rates are, and then how I was going to achieve the next year's goals and results.
I love it. Yeah.
So I got very, very dialed into that. That's number one. Number two is because I had such a great admin team, and because I screened them so well, right? I was able then to start figuring out and start with a really sturdy foundation blocks of kind of what I call like procedures and infrastructure of like client appreciation, how I was going to stay in touch with them, yearly CMAs, market analysis, kind of finding out more about my clients, and how I can show them that I'm thinking about them, right? And so we would send out questionnaires after the closing about like, okay, what is their favorite restaurant? When is their anniversary? When is their, all these things, birthdays, family members, right? And so that we could show throughout the year and stay in touch and just be more, impactful, right? And so then those are the years that I would say we really started being able to build on that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that you mentioned was measuring your business. And it's just funny. I've been doing this for 26 years in the mortgage industry. And this year alone, I feel like it's gone to a whole different level with regards to measuring your business. So like with the business plan I told you that we had, it's through a coaching platform. Did you ever have a coaching platform, or was it?
I did.
You
Yeah.
did?
So
Okay.
not until later. That was another thing I wish I would have started earlier.
More to come.
Yeah. During this time. Yeah. But I didn't start coaching until much later, probably 2015.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yep.
Even the seasoned veterans can have coaches, right?
100%. I still have a
talking,
coach to this day.
Yeah, we were just talking about this before. It was you're into Orange Theory,
Yes,
right? And those
yes.
are I need
coaches,
I need a health coach right now because I'm off kilter, and I did have a coach for training in Ironman races, but I think that we all need that at times.
100%,
but one of the things that it sounds like you've really caught your stride with was measuring the business and then being in front of the client at those perfect times.
At those times, yeah.
And I think one of the things that Oprah, I'm not a big Oprah fan, but one of the things she said was that really struck a chord with me was all people they just want to feel validated. Like that you exist. Like when you say somebody's birthday, like you think it's very, very small, but when somebody says happy birthday to you, you're like, that was nice. That was such a thoughtful thing to do. So like the anniversaries and everything that you keep in contact with is huge.
Yeah. And it was still, I want to say it was still smaller, meaning like our database wasn't to the scale that it is today, obviously. And so we were able to, it wasn't just saying happy birthday. We hand wrote birthday cards. That's a lot of coaches use that. It was it was doable at that time, and then like every home anniversary, purchase anniversary, we did a full blown CMA. We printed it out.
Really?
We bound it and then we mailed it to them.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. And so we were able to do it, but right about this time where it was like, it hit almost like what I want to say, like the peak, right? Because it was a constant influx of, okay, these are the CMAs that you have to review and sign off today, Alice. And it was just like review, sign, Yeah. And it got to be very tedious, but again, it was now thinking back, I think of it fondly because it was the building blocks of, today.
Yeah. Wow. And do you still do the CMAs?
We don't, not anymore because it just it's too much.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it a little bit more, how we've kind of adapted it and changed it a little bit.
Yeah.
We still do them, but not in the same capacity.
Well, I'm just thinking, now, from 2011 to today, there's so much technology that can do it for you.
So much.
Like AI, for instance. We were at a event in Cleveland 2 months ago, and one of the loan officers says, "Yeah, I actually send this out, and I have a company that writes the thank you cards for me." So there's companies out there that will actually write for you.
Correct.
Not to say that we want to do that, but if you're getting to the scale that you're at right now, you can't be sitting there still creating the quality of service that you have with writing all this stuff down. So there's ways to kind of manage that.
And you have to remember, like going back to your statement just now about the technology and how far it's come. 2011 we were not there yet in terms of tech at all.
Yeah.
So it kind of brings me up a couple of stories, during that time.
Yeah.
So DocuSign didn't exist.
I like where we're going with this because
Yeah.
it throughout the years when you have like when we start out with files and then you get to signing online, it's a whole different world now.
It's totally different. Yeah. So like in the beginning, and we didn't really touch up on this on the prior episodes, but in the beginning it was faxing. We faxed things, obviously, or we presented them in person. We were still doing that when I first started.
Yeah.
And then right around, like 2010, 2011 was when we were definitely doing things digitally, of course, but not DocuSign, So it was still the very, very beginning of digital signatures, if that, and definitely no digital So, for example, I wouldn't be able to, if we were just sitting here and you're like, okay, we just saw a house, we're sitting at a coffee shop, Alice, I want to make an offer. I wouldn't be able to just pull up my iPad or pull up my phone and just say, okay, I'm just going to draft it right now digitally and you just sign, right? Like that was crazy talk.
With your finger.
Yeah. That was crazy talk. Yeah. So we have to remember that was a couple of my frustrations, believe it or not, because in my mind at that time, I was like, this should be a thing. I don't understand why this isn't a thing,
Yeah, and everybody would tell you, no, there's no way you can do it.
You're crazy. Yeah. And so I remember being super frustrated because it was at the time where I was trying to move super, super fast, as always. And I was I didn't have a family yet. I didn't have kids yet. Okay. I was married. And we would want to do things on the weekend or in the evenings and things like that. And on the weekends especially, I did not have an admin staff, right? And so I distinctly remember I thought to myself, well, I should be able to go to the city. There's a Coldwell Banker in the city, no problem, right? Like I'll just go to the office and do what I need to do. Wrong, big fat wrong, okay?
Yeah.
So I go into the city. I remember having some sort of iPad or like digital device, okay? I think. Maybe it was a laptop. I don't know. And we went into the city and the office was closed. I couldn't get in, okay?
Oh, no.
This person, the client, wanted, I think it was an offer or something, okay?
I remember those days too.
And I was like, what? And I was like at the door and I'm like, let me in. And I'm like, this is not going to work, okay? So then...
Especially in the city, you think they're going to be working. It's lively, right?
Yeah,
come on, it's business hours.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah.
So then I get back into the car and my husband is like, what are you going to do now? Right? Like, do we have to go back? And I was like, no, I'm not going back. I was so angry. Okay. And so then I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to sit here. I don't even know if there was Wi-Fi. Right. So it was like one of those, I remember what it was, Bill. It wasn't Wi-Fi. It was one of those VPN sticks that you stuck into your...
Oh, yes.
Do you remember those? Okay.
Yes.
So then I was like sitting in the car. I was like fuming. I was pissed off. I was like, what is going on? I need to draft this thing. I should be able to have a life and draft it, send it, and like have the client sign and like just be done with the thing, right? And so I don't even know how I did, but I cobbled it together with my husband. He's very techie. So I cobbled it together in the car with him somehow. It was very clunky.
Okay. All right.
But I got it done. But then I remember being like really, really annoyed. Okay. And then I went back to the office on Monday and I was like, this just not be a thing. Like, I don't understand.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of my like tech story.
Well, we used to at some point and this was, I think, before scanners too. We used to like carry on printers.
Yes.
I got a printer. Let's print out the docs and let's do this right here. Oh my gosh. Well, I love it how we're kind of getting into the tech because that throughout the years, you've noticed how you had to adapt and it got easier to a degree, but then all of a sudden it became easier where more competition came in too,
Yes, more competition, and then it got easier to get a hold of you. So then it
went
from
another
like,
thing.
oh, well, you can't really reach me to, oh gosh, I'm on call 24/7. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was huge.
That's one of those things where I kind of wish we could go back in time with a little bit the accessibility.
Yes.
Right. Like if like for instance, this 5:56 in the morning, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like 5:56, you're gonna call me. Like I was
a text. It was a call.
It was a call.
Oh,
I was up. I was up, but at the same time, like
that's too much.
Just the nerve. Come on.
Yeah.
So, well, I appreciate it. You have been such an amazing wealth of knowledge for a lot of agents out there, loan officers like myself.
Yeah.
Sound advice. I can't just thank you enough for that.
Of course.
We'll look forward to seeing more of this on the next episodes with the Alice Chin podcast. Stay tuned. We have more to come.
Thank you, Bill.